No. Some news came out.
She looks creepy.
All right, here we are. It is 7 o'clock Eastern on a Wednesday night, and it's your favorite podcast.
Woo!
It's the Screaming Room. Good to see everybody. I am currently streaming from a not so awesome Wi-Fi in Barberton, Ohio. So y'all have to bear with me. And I have not smoking hookah tonight. We have oh, you can't see it. Oh, here it is. Butterbeer. You can't really see it. The restaurant that I'm at is having a Harry Potter night.
Dude, Butterbeer is ridiculously good.
Yeah, so
I tried it for the first time last October when I was at Harry Potter thing in Universal Studios. Like,
yeah.
Have you had that? Is this like, does this taste basically the same as that, or is it slightly different?
No, this is a little different. I like this though. I don't know what's in it except for root beer or cream soda, but there's something else. Like there's some kind of like butterscotch vodka or something like that I think is in it. But
oh, so there is actually some alcohol in it.
Yeah, there's definitely alcohol in it. But
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but so the restaurant that I'm at is having a Harry Potter night, and everybody's dressed up and everything. It's awesome. And I'm in their basement streaming right now. So
oh, that's cool.
I got some. Yeah, so I got some butterbeer. So
that's exciting, man. That's super cool. That's better than where I'm at. Well,
anyway,
that's mostly just the butterbeer part.
That's what we're having. But yeah, no, it's delicious. So for those Harry Potter fans, if you ever find yourself in Barberton, Ohio, around Halloween time, go to the Remarkable Diner because they will have butterbeer there.
I don't know why Harry Potter is attached to Halloween. Like, I don't really get that. Like, the theaters, they'll play Harry Potter this time of year, and like, I'm not saying Harry Potter's great. Like, I don't have a problem with Harry Potter. I just don't understand how it's attached to this time of year. Like, there's only one Harry Potter that I remember that takes place on Halloween, right?
Yeah, I think so. But I don't know. They just do it here. They do a Lord of the Rings thing as well in July, which I always associate Lord of the Rings with fall, but they do it in July, and it's whatever. It's just
there's a lot of places that do. That's what I was saying. Like, even theaters play Harry Potter this time of year, and like, I just don't quite get the tie-in. Like, wizards and magic, I guess. Like,
I guess so. I don't know. Yeah. So what's up, everybody? We see you in the chat. If you're on the Ghost Pirate side, please come over to the Screaming Room side and watch us over there and chat over there. The people in the Screaming Room chat. Say what?
Watch from both. Like, open up 2 tabs. Watch them both.
Yeah, or do that. I'm going to post the
definitely go to the Screaming Room.
I'm posting the link to the Screaming Room version in Ghost Pirates chat right now. But we got some cool stuff to talk about today.
So from the top, we're gonna give a spoiler-free review, just a basic outline of the movie we're gonna talk about, which is called MADS, and it's a French horror movie, that psychological horror movie that's over on Shudder right now. It just dropped this week. It's their latest new release, but we'll give like a little basic review. So if you don't want to know anything at all about it, you could just turn this off, come back and watch this later. We're not going to get into really spoilers, but there is basically one thing that this movie basically is. And so if you don't want to know anything at all about this kind of thing, 1, don't watch the trailer because the trailer gives that away. And 2, don't watch this. Just come back and watch this later. So, but I promise we won't give any like really spoilers, like nothing that is really considered a spoiler. Just like I said, there's a basic element that this movie basically is, and it's a slight spoiler.
I don't think it's a spoiler. I think you kind of get it about.
That's what I mean. You figure this out pretty, yeah. But if you don't want to know anything at all about it, is all I'm saying. Like I said, this is literally in the trailer, but it's not in the written synopsis, which is the only reason I'm being like coy about this. Because if it gave this element away in the synopsis, like that the people involved with the movie put out, you know what I mean? Then I'd be like screw it, they put it out, but it isn't. So just like, it's not going to change any of your enjoyment with the movie. So but I just want to warn some people. So if people are like, man, I wish I didn't know anything about this movie, why'd you give it away? I don't want to hear that noise.
All right, well, there's your warning then, because we're going to start talking about it. But
yeah, but here's a basic view. I think it's like basic. It's definitely a must see. Like, I personally think it'll end up in my top 10 of the year, because it's unique, it's gory, it's violent, it's fun. It's exciting, it's fast paced, especially in the second half. But mostly it's just a refreshing, unique spin on a horror movie. And the cool thing I didn't know when I saw it, but I do know now, is the same director. It's a French horror movie, and the same director did Them, the French horror movie what is it? LL something or other. Their actual name is like L something. The French name, but it's Them. It's called Them. It's a home invasion kind of horror movie, but if you've seen that, it's violent and wild and has a crazy twist towards the end of that movie that really separates it from other home invasion movies. It's incredible. It's what most people consider to be the best home invasion movie ever. We made an American version of it, sorta, when we made The Strangers. Like, a lot of people don't know that if they haven't seen that movie, but it's basically an American version. Although that movie goes harder than The Strangers, and there's a much bigger twist in it than The Strangers. But either way, that same director did this. So if you're familiar with Them, you'll realize like the level of the talent of this filmmaker. So
David Moreau.
Yeah, David Moreau. I was blanking on his name.
That's the writer. So all right. So
what are your thoughts?
I'll let you go first.
What are your basic review?
My basic review. So my basic review
spoiler-free
is that
review.
it's spoiler-free review. I think it's a good movie that starts off right away and keeps going, and I like that. I like the Warner technique.
Yeah, if you don't know, the whole movie is one take.
Yeah, it's a one take movie, and it's great. I love that about it. It's definitely a fresh take, or it's a unique spin on the genre that it is when you find out about 30 minutes in. And so,
which is the spoiler thing we're avoiding. It's not really spoiler, but the genre that this movie is kind of like, if you don't know going in, it's kind of cool because you don't realize what this movie is until about 30 minutes in.
Yeah.
But in a few minutes, we'll give that element away.
Yeah. So I really like that about it. The things that I didn't like was that the ending was kind of weak. I didn't really like that about it. I felt that the movie just kind of stopped. It didn't really have an end. So
I agree.
That's probably my biggest critique about it. Other than that, though,
it didn't peter out. It didn't like peter out, but it didn't have some big climactic ending. It just kind of was like running at a wall as fast as you can and like hitting, like, the wall's already there,
right?
Kind of thing. And you hit the wall, but you already knew it was there. So there's like no, like, it's not like a wall comes out of nowhere like a lot of movies have ending wise. Like, there isn't this big crescendo at the end.
Right.
But it doesn't like peter out either. It's not like it's a weak ending.
It doesn't peter out. It just
really have an ending.
It just kind of stops. Like, that's one of the biggest critiques that I have about it. I thought the acting was pretty good. It's hard for me really sometimes to judge acting when it comes to foreign films that are, in their native language, because I don't know the accent. I don't know the dialect. I don't know how they're supposed to talk. I don't know how they're actually saying things unless it's over the top. But
I would say, though, the two main girls, like in the final act, or you know what I mean, like the two on the moped and all that, their performances, it doesn't matter what language, like they were pretty wild. Both of them give pretty awesome performances.
Yeah,
but the guy especially, I had a hard time, like feeling much of anything from him per se, and like other people. Yeah, I agree. I feel the same way. Like, it's not that I don't pick up on any emotion, but I pick up on less because I don't pick up on the inflections in the language like you would in an American language speaking movie.
Right.
Some less than others. Like French, I can pick up on a little bit. You know what I mean? German, I have a really hard time with because they don't emote much at all. Like German people have a real German and Russian have a real like kind of stoicism about the way they do things. So it's hard to kind of pick up on their emotions. Same with Asian cultures. Like it's hard a lot of times to pick up on emotions from them too, for me. But all right.
Yeah.
So this is your last warning. If you don't want to know what genre this movie is, that's the only thing we're going to give away. We're not going to spoil the movie, but we will talk about the genre that this movie falls in because it's kind of what our whole discussion today is going to be about.
All right. So if you don't want to know what the genre,
2, 1, it's a zombie movie.
Yeah, it's a zombie movie, and it becomes pretty obvious about a half hour in that it's zombies. But it's not your typical zombie, I guess, at first.
And that's why it's almost hard to call it a zombie movie because it just doesn't exactly feel like a zombie movie. Like they are doing things that are very zombie, like the head thing, like they are doing zombie-ish things. But it's not like they're running around trying to eat brains.
Yeah.
And they still are able to talk and they still have emotions. So they're almost like somewhere between like a Dawn of the Dead zombie and a 28 Weeks Later zombie. Like they're somewhere in that, because 28 weeks is technically not zombies. They're like infected or whatever. And these have a kind of feel kind of like that. Cause these ones can run. Like these ones, they're not just trying to eat people. Like they almost remind me of The Sadness.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Sadness? They kind of remind me of them.
I saw it once and I didn't have any desire to watch it again, but yeah, I would say yeah. B-movie theater, it's not a found footage, it's a oneer.
No. Yeah. It's one take where it's not actually a one take. I'm sure they're taking multiple, like they have to. I can't imagine
there's definitely
this,
cuts
but
somewhere.
It's all hidden cuts. So unless you're really, really looking for it, it feels like it's just a continuous shot that never breaks, which really amplifies how intense it gets because it's never slowing down. It's like once it gets moving, it's just continually ramping. It's never, which is, I think, part of why the ending falls a little flat, because it's just the whole movie it's like up. It's just like constantly going uphill. And so it's like when you hit the ending, there's nowhere else for it to go. It can't go any more uphill because it's, you know what I mean? It's already been going uphill. Right. But yeah, like DJ said, it just kind of stops at the ending. But it's not like it's a bad ending or anything like that. It just doesn't really have exactly an ending. It like just feels like you're just getting a slice of life. Like someone cuts out an hour and a half, and you're watching it like Wreck. Like
right,
Wreck did.
Yeah.
I mean, Wreck had a more shocking ending, but even still, Wreck doesn't have a satisfying ending per se either, because it's like you're just seeing this slice of this situation. So,
yeah, I think that works for some people, where it's just like, boom, we're in, and then we're out, and there's not really much of a story there. That would usually bother me, but for some reason, the action, gore, and one take technique sort of covered that for me. So I enjoyed that.
It feels like there's more to this, and like we're gonna. It feels very much like 28 weeks later in that way, where it feels like you don't have to make another one, but you could easily make another one, because like this movie doesn't tell you where this comes from exactly. It doesn't. Like, all you know in this movie basically is that there are these people that are getting infected, and you get infected orally in some way by ingesting blood, I think, or whatever. And that it's a government released thing, maybe, but even that isn't exactly clear. But there's like these guys running around trying to capture and take out anybody that's infected.
Yeah,
So
patient zero escapes, runs into this guy, and this guy contracts it and then starts spreading it. And these government or like super, deep state corporation stuff have to come. It's not really explained. They come in and try to round everybody up.
We don't know who they are. We just are, they're some type of military, special forces type of thing is what it seems like.
Yeah.
And that's what's cool about it, because it doesn't really, like, you feel like you're just observing this thing. There isn't really a story to it. Like, you're following one character basically until something happens, and then you're following another character and then another character. And that's what's cool about it, is like, each time it trees off with like a different character, it just continues to go.
Yeah. And I thought
it's like a relay. It's like a relay.
I thought that was a cool technique too, where the main character changes.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're following like a new protagonist. And
you don't even know exactly why, like, when it switches, it isn't always the same reason that it's switching, if that makes sense. Like,
right.
I don't want to say exactly everything that happens in this movie, but like, there's different reasons that it like switches characters. And it's cool too, because there are certain things that are like on the periphery that might have happened, but you're not sure. Like, certain people that might have gotten infected, and you find out later on if they did or didn't. And then some people that you're like certain that they got infected, but they didn't, like things like that. It's pretty cool too, because they're like toys with your expectations on what you like. You never really feel like you got a beat on this movie, like a beat on it.
I mean,
it's
they
like
definitely
always
set
kind
it
of
up.
shifting.
They definitely set it up for a potential sequel. So that's, we
but it
doesn't
feel like but it doesn't feel like it's a, like, it doesn't feel like the filmmaker was like, we need to make it set up for a sequel either. Like, if this is a standalone thing, it would still be fine. Like,
but if somebody's going to come along and want to pay that guy a bunch of money to make a second one, it's very easy to do that.
Yeah, I just mean, like, certain movies, the ending are so, you like roll your eyes, because you're just like, they're basically, there's like a little hook at the end, like a little fish hook, being like, hey, fishy, you want to make sure we get, we get your money for the next movie.
Yeah.
This doesn't do that. It literally is just, it ends. And it isn't like it ends where you're like on a cliffhanger either. That's what I mean. It's not ending in a way where it needs another movie, but it also, there's plenty that can easily be explained and directions that this could go to make a sequel to, because this is a very isolated incident. It's really just this group of teenagers that are going out for a night of partying, and it kind of follows them. It's not like in this grand, like, it's not like it's pushing back and you're seeing this whole city, or infected or anything like that either. So,
yeah. And this is another movie that, it sort of reinforces my sobriety when it comes to like drug use. Watching movies like this is like, this is why I don't do drugs, because I don't want to have to deal with this. Like,
because there's a lot of, when I was in my early 20s, I did a little bit of this. Like, I experienced this a little bit, like going to big parties like this, like college parties, and doing drugs and alcohol and all that. But even then, I was pretty quickly like, I don't see the appeal in this. It's like, it's too loud. It's too obnoxious. You know what I mean? Like, everybody is just stupid. Everybody, like, I don't know. I just never got super into it. So even when I did do anything, like even smoking weed or any of that, I always preferred kind of just me and a couple buddies, kind of thing. Same with drinking. Like, I'm just like, cause this is like a big raver type of like college frat party kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's lots of drug use in this, but it's just mostly that one scene though. It's mostly like when he goes to the party, because it kind of branches off pretty quickly from there.
Well, sort of. I mean, like, the movie opens with him doing a line of something. It's not.
No, I mean, no. I mean, like, as far as the big party element.
Oh yeah. Well, I thought didn't
drug use? Yeah, he does drugs in the very first scene,
again
when he gets to like when the girl comes over. There's another time.
Yeah, I thought she gave him something when they were riding to the party in the back of the Jeep
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah, that's why. Man, I just random people just putting things in your mouth. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah,
somebody clip that.
No, but that's his. Because he gets it from the drug dealer,
right,
and then gives it to her at the house, and so then she gives it to the other girl. It looks like I don't know. It's weird because it looks like some kind of Coke or something like that, but it's like a brownish color, like a brownish red, almost like clay. So I don't know what the fuck that is, but I'm not up on modern drugs either. So it may be not even like they may have made a fake drug for the sake of not getting like, like for rating purposes, like maybe they had to make it look like more fake, or it might just be a certain drug now. And I just don't know. I haven't done anything at all. I haven't even drank really alcohol since I haven't been at least drunk in probably 20 years and done anything, smoked weed, none of it. The last time I smoked weed, was 99 rolling into 2000, New Year's Eve. Yeah. And then after that, I've done edibles a number of times, mostly CBD stuff though.
Yeah.
But as far as actually getting stoned. So part of our discussion, we're going to each give our top 5 zombie movies, because I thought it ties in nicely and it's fun.
So are we going 5 to 1 or 1 to 5?
5 to 1.
Okay.
Hold on, let me pull up mine. No, I forgot to have mine open.
Yeah, I gotta get mine. Alrighty. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
You can start, so that way, because I don't know why mine's not pulling up.
Okay, so number 5 for me would be Warm Bodies.
That's such a good movie. It's so underrated, dude.
I agree. And Warm Bodies is going to be my number 5 on my top 5 zombie list. I just think it's a great take on zombies, and I think it's a really I love horror romance because it's so rare, and I think that this movie did that really well. And it took some.
Go ahead.
It took some liberties with its zombie lore, but that's fine for me. I don't care about that. I just thought it was a really good story. I really liked the characters. I like how they made, like, you have zombies and then you have like the crazy super zombies, that are like skeletons almost.
And it's got Holt as the main star in it, and he wasn't anybody then. What's his name? Holt. It's damn it. What's his first name?
I don't remember.
Because he's gone on now to be like a huge star. He's in the new Nosferatu movie. Nicholas Holt.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a young Nicholas Holt, and he's amazing in it. He's the zombie. But it's really cool too, because it's about a zombie who basically falls in love and slowly is brought back to life, which is like a metaphor, of course, for like what it can feel like to meet someone you fall in love with, and like it's like brings life into your life. But it's really interesting the way it's done, because you see him in these stages of slowly coming back to life, and we've never seen that before, except for, I mean, I guess we saw that a little bit in is it Day of the Dead?
It might be.
Yeah. It's Day of the Dead, right? Where they're training the zombie in the basement or the underground.
I think that's Day of the Dead. Chat, what is that? Is that Day of the Dead? I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because it's not dawn, it's day.
But yeah, so that's what I like. And yes, Javier, this is my top list, and I can have in there what I want. I see yours, and it's a very good list. But so that's not my Warm Bodies is my number 5. So what's
no?
Your
You're
five?
welcome. Everybody's welcome to throw in their list too. Definitely.
Yeah, we'll pull it up and we'll talk about your list.
I'm not.
We're
not. He's not. We're not saying. We just don't want you criticizing ours. Like this is just our own personal list. It doesn't mean it's the right list.
Right.
So my number 5 would be Shaun of the Dead, and like Shaun of the Dead is. I don't know. Some people label it a comedy, but it's very horror as well. Like it's one of the best horror comedies that there is because it's super funny. Like there is some genuinely really good humor in it.
It's just
but when
excellent
it gets
writing.
horror, it goes horror. Like there is gore. There is even some super intense, especially towards the end of that movie. It gets really intense. Like the stuff with his mom and everything. Like, it's a genuinely creepy zombie movie. It's just such a fun movie, but like it really does a good job of paying homage to, the Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, like because especially when that movie came out, zombie movies weren't a thing. And it really is a lot of the reason that and The Walking Dead, that's why we ended up getting way too many zombie movies.
Yeah.
But it's funny because Shaun of the Dead still to me is the best zombie movie we have had. So there's one other one that's above this, but basically since the Dead trilogy, George A. Romero's Dead trilogy, since then, I think his is the best zombie movie, except for I have one other one that a more current movie that I think is even better. But yeah, so that's my number 5.
All right, so number 4, and I'm starting I'm like rethinking about these zombie movies now, and there's just so many that are not going to make my list that are probably going to be on a lot of other people's. I think
that's why usually people do a top 10. It's really tough when you only do 5
because there's a lot. I mean, and I don't want to say that I feel like there's going to be a lot that are going to be left off. But anyway, all right. So number four for me.
But that's where the audience can put theirs, and that'll give us a chance to talk about some of the ones that are not on our list. So,
okay, yeah. So number 4 for me is going to be Planet Terror.
Really?
Yes. I went to go see that.
That is a very fun movie. I just never really thought of it as a zombie movie per se because it's sandwiched with Death Proof. Like when I saw it, I know that it did show, like they had theaters showing separate, but I saw it where it was together.
Yeah, so did I. I saw the Grindhouse feature with everything. So I saw both movies, but 2 separate movies. Mm-hmm. And Planet Terror, I just thought it's super fun. The action's great. I love the way it's shot. I honestly, I like a lot of the dialogue. It's super snappy. And getting to watch Quentin Tarantino's penis melt off is just, I clapped.
It's another one that's a real, it pays homage to the classics, it pays homage to Zombie and, or Zombie 2, whatever you want to call it, which is another one of my favorites, but it would be in my top 10, but it's not my top 5. But yeah, I agree. That movie is super fun. It's very good. It wouldn't be in my top 5, but I do love that movie. So my number 4, my list keeps moving around on me. My number 4 is what I mean by a more modern movie. It's the one more modern movie that is still that good, and that's Train to Busan. Like, yes. I think Train to Busan completely brought back and proved that as sick and tired of zombie movies as I am, and every time I say I don't want to see another zombie movie, someone comes out with like MADS. MADS is another, it's just came out, and it's like, it shows that if you do it right, there's still more that can be done, in that subgenre. And Train to Busan, man, I mean, like the emotional, like it's one of those rare foreign movies too. Like we were talking about with MADS, how it's sometimes hard to pick up on an actor's emotions and stuff, and the language, stilts that a little bit, but not Train to Busan. Like the emotions are so powerful, especially in that final scene with him and his daughter and stuff. Like dude. And the zombies are so fast and they're so overwhelming. You know, to me, everybody is, talks about the sadness and like, oh, the sadness is so good. To me, it was more intense than the sadness, even though the sadness is, got tons and tons of blood and gore. That's not intense. Like after a few minutes, you see enough blood, you start to be like, yeah, whatever, it's more blood.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whereas like Train to Busan didn't have a ton of blood, but it didn't need it because it was so intense and impactful. And the shots, man, I mean, especially for a lower budget movie, it's another one that shows you don't have to have like a crazy huge budget to do amazing film, like, and that movie is literally been like a world phenomenon, and it still continues to hit more audiences all the time. Like it's really crazy. But yeah, so Train to Busan would be my number 4.
All right, so my number 3, and this is probably gonna be a shocker to some people, but I don't care. It's gonna be Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead.
That is actually my number 3. Yeah, so we share a number 3.
Zack Snyder, and it's Zack Snyder's best movie, and it's a fantastic remake.
Yeah, it's incredible, dude.
It's just it's one of those movies that just starts right away and doesn't stop.
That opening scene, I will argue, is up there with one of the best cold opens ever done.
Absolutely, yeah.
It is, dude. It's so emotional, so intense. It feels like it. I remember seeing that in theaters, and I felt like someone hit me in the face with a baseball bat. It was just like so powerful.
Yeah. And like it slows down a little bit when they get into the mall, but we get a lot of really good character moments and a lot of really just creepy images, and the threat starts to ramp up again. And we get to, and then we go again towards the finale. The scene on the roof when they're talking to the guy in the other building. I mean, that's just a great character scene.
The way that whole thing is built, like how you get to know this guy without ever really talking to him. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they're having these conversations with the signs or whatever. Like, yeah. And the shots from up on top of the roof where they're looking down in the parking lot and you're just seeing more and more zombies, and like, just, dude, there's so many good scenes in that movie.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I mean, like, I think that movie's incredible. So yeah, it's my number 3 as well.
All right. So go ahead and give your number 2.
Let's see. My number 2 is Night of the Living Dead, which I know is a little bit sacrilegious because a lot of people, are like, how can that not be your number 1? It's the OG.
Yeah.
But you'll see why in a second. But like, that movie is so groundbreaking. There is no way to me that you could talk about zombie movies without mentioning that movie. Because I mean, literally before that movie, we didn't really have zombies. Like how many horror movies have completely invented a horror like genre? Because before that, the only zombies we had were like these slaves, like the movie White Zombie, where they were just kind of like these mindless slaves, but they weren't at all. Yeah, they weren't at all the brain-eating, zombies that we know now. Like that is all George A. Romero. And it's crazy. There's so few black and white movies that are as visceral and hit as hard as that movie does, even to this day. Like that final shot when your hero gets shot in the fucking head. Like, dude, it's still to this day one of the most like impactful moments of any movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, because I didn't know going in. I mean, if you've already know that, which I probably just ruined it for somebody that might not have seen it, but like, I didn't know when I saw that movie, I had no idea that happened at the end. And it's just like literally like the most like sinking feeling. Yeah. Thanks for putting it up there now.
All right.
Yeah. So good.
My number 2 is Zombieland.
Such a
again, great opening for a movie. I love the rules. I love the dialogue,
how they're set up, how they're told. Yeah.
The writing in Zombieland is just so clean and so smart and so good. What's his name? Tennessee. What's his name? Chat, help me out. I can't. Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, Woody Harrelson's amazing.
Woody Harrelson is so good in that. And this movie is probably Emma Stone at her absolute hottest. I was simping for Emma Stone so hard in this movie.
You know, it's weird because I think it really is an underrated movie at this point.
I don't hear it talked about a lot.
Well, it's like nobody doesn't love that movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like everybody loves that movie, but yet it's never talked about. So I'm glad you mentioned it. It won't be in my top 5, but it's never talked about when you're talking about like some of the best horror comedies. Like Zombieland just is never brought up, and it should be, you know, like I'm not saying it, in my opinion, is at the same level as Shaun of the Dead, but it's up there, man. It is super fun, super well done. The zombies are great in it. Like,
yeah.
And that whole cast, they're like you were saying, as her being at the peak of her powers, they kind of all are. Like they're at that perfect spot in their careers, like where they worked, you know, so well together. I just love Woody Harrelson. Like I've enjoyed him in everything.
He's great. He really is. Just, Bryce, yes, Emma Stone is also very hot and easy A, but there's just something about the dark hair and those smoky eyes and that attitude and just damn. And then who can forget Bill Murray in Zombieland? So
that surprised the shit out of me. I think it did most people. Like none of us saw any of that with Bill Murray coming. Like all of it. The fact that it's actually supposed to be Bill Murray, like he gets turned into a zombie. Like it's so awesome.
Yeah. All right. What's your number 2?
He becomes a zombie twice in that movie. Yeah. Okay. That I already gave my number 2. We're to our number 1.
Oh, we're at our number 1s already? Jeez. I thought this was going to take longer.
Did I miss one?
Yeah, you didn't do your number 2.
Yeah, I did. Night of the Living Dead.
Oh. My bad.
Oh, it's because we have the same number 3.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I already did my 2.
I still thought this segment was going to take longer. So chat, start writing out your list. Chat. Yeah, start writing out your list of your top 5 zombies so we can talk about it. But all right, so what's your number 1?
So my number 1 is Dawn of the Dead from 1978. And that's also why I could put Night of the Living Dead as my number 2, because like they're both George A. Romero, and of the two, I think he invented something with Night of the Living Dead. He perfected it, in my opinion, with Dawn of the Dead. Like every time I rewatch that movie, like every maybe 10 years or so, I am always just still blown away at how well done it is. Like everybody, like all the character development is so good. They're all so well written, feel real and believable. Especially for the time, it goes super hard with a lot of elements, like the pregnant woman, like how the direction that goes. Like as much as I love Zack Snyder's, and for a modern remake, like it's incredible. I still dude, to me, Dawn it's a perfect zombie movie. Like I wouldn't change anything about it. And that's why it's my number 1. Cause it's also on my list. It has a lot to do too with the impact they've had on horror, on the horror landscape as well. So it's not just the one I enjoy the most. Cause if it was just the movie I enjoy the most, then some movies like Zombieland or whatever might be in there, or Higher or whatever, because it's just more based on fun and this and that. But like when I put together a list like this, it's got to, for me, it's got to be not only how much I enjoy a movie, but how impactful it has been on me as a fan of horror, and then how impactful on the genre and how groundbreaking and all that. And like every zombie movie since has taken from Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead is up there too. Day of the Dead definitely would be honorable mention for me. To me, the characters and the heartbreak and the roller coaster ride that Dawn is even better than Day. And I couldn't put Day because I can't put in my top 5, 3 of them being Romero, you know what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah. Okay, so I think, all right, my number one, I was struggling with this because I didn't want it to be obvious. And I also was thinking about like, what do I actually love about, about these movies? And do I like these movies because they're classics and because they are, iconic and essential films, or do I, or do I actually enjoy them? And so my number one is actually going to be Dead Alive.
Dude, that's such a good pick.
And I know, so like,
God, Dead Alive's so good. Dead Alive would definitely be in my top 10.
Yeah. So where, a lot of people are going to be like, dude, where is dawn or day or night? And I'm just like, I love them.
They're because your list is kind of like with me. I took all the like its greatness and the classic element. I took that into, but I like if I had thought of it, if we had talked about this ahead of time more, it would have been like I would have liked to have just made a 5 of my favorites. So I like that you did that because everybody talks about like the ones I did, like they're classics. Like no one argues that they're fucking groundbreaking classics, but I love that you are mentioning movies that are not always talked about as classics, but are still absolute bangers.
Yeah. So, I mean, Dead Alive, if you haven't seen it, it's Peter Jackson. It's an anti-codependency story, and the gore and effects are just so bonkers.
Like nobody's ever gone harder.
Yeah, like
that fucking dinner scene with the fucking soup, dude.
I know, man. It's so good. It's so good.
The lawnmower scene.
Oh, the lawnmower scene I think is my favorite. I honestly I think it's my favorite. It is just so absurd. I mean, like
I was actually thinking of that when I was watching The Substance, because the final scene, not to give away anything in The Substance, but that final scene reminded me the audience scene or whatever. It's different, but it reminded me of the insanity levels that Dead Alive goes.
Yeah, so Dead Alive, I think,
or it's called Brain Dead, right? It's Dead Alive's other name, like for the rest of the world, is Brain Dead.
Brain Dead? I'm not sure if
because it's one of those ones that still has 2 names because different regions, like in Europe, they call I think it's Brain Dead. Because I know when I covered it before and I mentioned it, a bunch of people were like, "What? I thought I didn't know what you were talking about." And then I saw the trailer and I was like, "Oh, you're talking about Brain Dead."
It doesn't say on IMDb that it's known by another name, but I don't think you're lying. So
I'm 100%. I know I'm not. I just don't know if it's Brain Dead. I'm
okay,
pretty sure.
Yeah. Well, it might have another name, but I know it by Dead Alive.
Anybody in America, we grew up with it.
Okay, so all right, so that's our top 5. So I'm gonna go through
it's called
chat.
Brain Dead. It's called Brain Dead.
Okay, so I'm gonna go through the chat real quick and just give me a second so that I can scroll up through here because you guys are very talkative and that's what we love about you.
Yep. I wonder what the regions are because it's literally, if you look it up online, it goes out by both names.
Well, we're gonna call it Dead Alive. We're going to call it Dead Alive.
If you type in Brain Dead 1992, you get it. Or if you type in Dead Alive, you get it. Normally, when it's like this, it'll be like one default name. So like if you type in, I'm trying to remember another movie that's like that, like Them. If you type in Them, it'll pop up and say LLC or whatever its French name is. It's like LL something or other.
Yeah.
It'll go default to that because that's its technical name, even though here in the United States, it's called Them. But in this case, it's weird. It has its own separate Wikipedias, its own separate IMDb, but it all is the exact same information, same covers. Like it's so fucking weird. Same posters.
Right, we got 15 minutes, so I want to go through chat's list. So Javier is 28 days, 28 weeks, Dead Alive.
Those are not zombie movies though. Otherwise they would probably be in my top 5 too. I made a video of my top 10 best zombie or best non-zombie horror movies because
they're infected with the rage or something, right?
Yeah, we always think of them as zombies, but they're technically not, because zombies are undead. And they're all very much alive. They fit in that category with the sadness.
So then Day of the Dead 85 and Dawn of the Dead 78 as number 1. So I still think that's a decent list, despite the
it's a great list. It's just the whole trouble with because I've gotten yelled at for this. When I've talked about it before as zombie movies on this channel, and people have yelled at me. So I have now corrected myself, and I will correct anybody else. Because technically it is right. Even though they feel very much like zombie movies, like they are infected, and there is a difference, between the undead and infected. We need a name, though. We need a name for them, and I think that's part of the problem. Is there has never been this like a real solid name attached to that. Because we're starting to get a number of these movies where they're infected and they act similar to zombies, but they're different.
Yeah. I want to pull this up. It's not a list, but Bryce says Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. I think that's a good runner, like a good honorable mention. It's not the best movie, but there's some pretty good scenes. It's kind of like it's a horror comedy, kind of like Zombieland, but with like
it's a good one.
Boy Scouts.
What's the name of it? The musical one. The Christmas musical one. It's actually phenomenal. People don't realize how good it is. What's the name of that movie?
I don't remember. While you're looking it up, Jack Doobie.
Like the name of a girl.
So Jack Doobie says number 5 is Day of the Dead. Number 4 is Wreck. Number 3 is Dead Snow. I forgot about Dead Snow. That was a fun one.
But Wreck is another one. Wreck are infected. They're not actually undead.
Dead Snow, which is fun, and then number 2 is Dawn of the Dead, and number 1 is Dead Alive. Yeah, there we go.
And there's the other one of people saying that Evil Dead is a zombie movie.
No, Evil Dead is not.
I've had people say that. Yeah. But why is it not a zombie movie? That's what's tricky about that one, because they are undead.
They're deadites. They're like demons. They're like
Anna
evil
and the
spirits.
Apocalypse.
Anna
Have you ever seen Anna and the Apocalypse?
No, I haven't seen it.
Dude, it's like one of the best Christmas horror movies ever made.
Yeah.
Like it's a fucking zombie movie, a zombie outbreak movie, comedy, horror movie, but it's like a musical. And that sounds like it would never work, but it's absolutely phenomenal. It is so much fun. It's super gory and campy. It's awesome. I love it.
So Lil Boozy's list is 28 Days Later.
What up, Boozy?
The Sadness, Planet Terror. Yeah.
Everybody thinks of them as zombie movies. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Zombie from 79.
Yeah. And then
or Zombie
Night of the
2,
Living Dead,
which is another one that's got like 3 different fucking names.
Yeah, that's a good list. That is a good list.
Zombie is so good.
Nick says Kanan is right. Probably about the zombie and infected delineation.
Thing.
Or brain dead.
But I don't blame anybody for saying that, because I gotten confused with it too.
B Movie Theater says Burial Ground. I don't think I've
never seen that.
Wow. Cool. Get to go look up a movie. Zombieland, the Crazies remake. See, I thought the Crazies. I don't think
Crazies is also. Yeah, they're not. They're not infected.
Zombies. But I just watched the original Crazies, George Romero's Crazies. I like it better than the remake.
I don't agree. I think the remake's better, but they're different. They're different. I just rewatched both, and I think the remake is a better movie, but they do different things, because the first one is it focuses more on the like ignorance of both sides. Like, yeah, it doesn't make the police or military, it doesn't make them into necessarily villains. And like, that's what's so good about that movie. It's like, they're just doing their job. The people are caught off guard. They don't know what's going on. And they just think each other is basically the villain, and they're just killing each other, even though neither of them are really in the wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas the remake is much more of this totalitarian government military, a dictator type of military trying to kill everybody. And you know what I mean? It's more of, they are a very clear cut villain. And it's, you know what I mean? So like they feel like very different movies, but I think,
I don't know. I think they're both great.
But I think the remake is better. It's better acted. Like it's better, you know, it's a higher budget, like better special effects and all that because it's newer. I don't know. I really love both, like in different ways. So
rest of the list is
I love Resident Evil too. Like we're all talking about all these. I love the first Resident Evil movie. Like after that, they're just kind of, you know, whatever. But I loved that first Resident Evil movie. Like I love the mystery element of it. Like seeing that movie in theaters was so cool because we don't know what is exactly going to happen. We don't know what the zombies exactly look like, and the music, how it's tied in, and yeah, I love the first Resident Evil movie.
All right, sorry guys, I'm sorry chat. I'm trying to go through and find your lists. I like the discussion that you guys are having, but I want to find your lists. So we got about 10 more minutes. So throw your lists in there, your top 5 zombie movies, and don't try to be hipsters about it. Just give us your give us your 5, your top 5. Because I did. I mean, I you know, I didn't mention one Romero movie in my top 5, and that's like sacrilegious to some people.
Yeah. I'm also older than you though, so I grew up more with the Romero, because like a lot of the movies you named off, they didn't even exist when I was learning about horror and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that 10-year difference with us is kind of makes a big impact when it comes to some of this stuff. Cause it's like, you know, by the time I was 20, none of those movies were out yet that you mentioned.
Right.
So yeah, it's like, if we're talking about zombie movies, when I was first watching zombie movies, you know, it was Romero, like there, you know, but we also didn't mention one of the best zombie movies, Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah,
that is a fantastic zombie movie and comedy, and has one of the hottest women ever getting naked in it. Like, it's incredible. That scene at the cemetery is amazing in that movie.
Trash, right?
Yep.
That's her name, Trash.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah,
like I love the practical effects of it.
Yeah,
Tarman looks amazing. It's one of those that still very much lives up, because like that's what people need to realize when they're making horror movies now. Figure it out, guys. Don't use CGI. Like figure out whatever you got to do with your budget to not use CGI and use practical instead. Because like when I just saw what movie? When I just saw Smile 2, right? I was like, it's a really fucking good movie. Like I really am impressed with that movie.
Don't talk about it. I still have to see it.
There are some CGI. I'm not giving anything away. There are some CGI elements in it, just like in the first one. And it's like, after watching movies like The Substance and Terrifier, I was just like, those movies, The Substance and Terrifier, in 20 years from now, we will still be talking about them and how well everything holds up in those movies.
Yeah.
20 years from now, you will not be talking about how everything holds up in Smile. You'll be talking about how the CGI looks dated.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, CGI is just going to get better.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's going to keep getting better. Whereas like practical effects have always been good. Like, they've been good going back into the 50s. You know what I mean? Like, there's a point where it kind of like they get better, but they don't get light years better.
Right.
Like what Savini was doing in the early 80s. Exactly.
Everything that is on screen is always going to look better because it's real.
Actually is real.
It's there.
Yeah, it's actually real.
So it's always going to look better. Okay, we got some more lists. And John, I'm going to get to your question, but like we're only going to be able to talk about it for a couple of minutes because I want to talk about these lists. So this the Susurrus Apprentice, I can't pronounce that.
Susurrus.
The Susurrus Apprentice says Night of the Living Dead, Zombie with an I. I don't think I've seen that one. Shockwaves. I don't think I've seen that one.
That's White Zombie 2. Zombie with the I is Zombie 2 or Zombie.
Oh, okay. White Zombie.
It's the spiritual sequel to George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. Like, it came out before almost any of these other zombie movies. What's the name of the filmmaker? It's a very famous Italian filmmaker that made Zombie. But it's so fucking good, dude. Like, it's the one where the zombie eats a shark. Have you ever seen that scene? The zombie
I have
actually takes a bite out of a real fucking shark. Like, I still to this day don't know how they pulled it off. Like, it's an actual real shark, and this scuba diver dressed as a zombie is actually grabbing it and pulling flesh. It's not really the shark's flesh, but it looks like it. Like, he must have like in his hand somehow, like, because you know what I mean, like blood and guts. But it looks like he actually takes a chomp out of this fucking shark. And I'm just like, holy shit! They actually had a real scuba diver grabbing a hold of this real fucking shark, dude. Like, that movie's incredible. Funny. There's just a scene where a zombie just walking on the bottom of the fucking ocean. Like, it's dope as fuck, dude. I love that.
I gotta watch it then.
Love that movie. It's on Shudder.
He doesn't have a 5th, so that's okay. It doesn't need to be. Shaun of the Dead, number 5 for him. So there it is.
Yep.
People still talking about The Substance. The Substance is great.
Dude, it's the must see of the year. You gotta see it.
It really is. It really is.
But it's still in theater, which is what's crazy. Yeah,
Lucio Fulci is who you're talking about. Sorry. So good job, guys. Lucio, thank you, chat. Always quick on the answers. Chat's smarter than we are. So
Fulci is incredible.
Okay. So I want to answer John's question. It says, DJ and Kanan, have you heard about the new documentary around what could have been a George A. Romero Resident Evil? I have not. What is it called?
Yeah, I haven't seen the documentary. I have heard of this, like that George A. Romero was working on at least a script for a Resident Evil, but I thought it was just a rumor. Documentary about it.
I didn't know that was actually real. I thought it was just a rumor.
It was real, but I don't think he ever signed anything. It was just, you know what I mean? He was writing up a treatment for one, which, you know, it's like every horror movie out there, there's numerous people that write up treatments that you never hear about. You know?
Well, I would have liked to have seen that because I did not like any of these. I thought the first Resident Evil was okay. But everyone that's come out after that I've seen, which has only been the second and third, after the third one, I was like, this is so bad. I don't care about watching any of the others.
They just became like action. I haven't seen the last couple either.
Yeah. They became,
I think I saw the first 3, but the second one had a little bit of coolness, 'cause it had the big fucking, what's it called? Her like brother, the big, I forget the name of it, but like, the thing is, you cannot watch those movies and think about the video game. You know, that's the tricky part of them.
I wanted to never
felt. But did you see the Resident Evil that was made like last year or 2 years ago?
No, I didn't care.
No. The newest Resident Evil movie that has nothing to do with those other Resident Evil movies. You never saw that?
No.
It's like really true to the games. The issue everybody has with it is that they combine the first and second game into one movie, and so it felt too rushed. But other than that, like, it was most everybody that's fans of the game have quite a bit of love for it. Like, especially looking wise, like, it is by far the best looking Resident Evil thing that's ever been done. Like, is
it the one that came out in 2022?
Yeah, it looks like real shit from the game. Like, it's fucking dope, dude.
Oh, okay.
And like, the practical effects they did in it are awesome. You know, there are some CGI that, you know, you're like, but all in all, though, as far as a Resident Evil movie, it's light years better than the other Resident Evils. You know, the Bell, what's his name? Something Bell, the guy that did the other Resident Evil movies with his wife's Mia Djokovic, who I've always had a crush on, but
I will have to I'll have to check it out, I guess. I don't know. I said, just
it's cool, dude. It's cool. It's got that real more small, grounded feel. Like, it feels like the game, especially the first game.
Let me see what's going on here. Nemesis is what it's called. Sorry, like, people are yelling. Look at the chat. Like, sorry, I'm trying to read about this Resident Evil movie. Sorry, guys.
Do we have any other top 5s?
I'm not seeing any top 5s yet, but got to play Resident Evil 4. Yeah, I know. I know about that.
Yeah, I wish I could play games. My hands are too fucked up. Like, maybe
hey, we got
when I'm able to hire an editor one day.
What's up,
Yay!
Toxie?
What's up, Twitch?
Hey, what's going on Twitch?
Hall is the only one ever.
Yeah, we only ever have one viewer on Twitch, but hey, we were talking about the most recent Resident Evil movie. That's what we were talking about.
2022.
But okay, it is 8 o'clock. I got a hard out. I gotta get out of here.
It's not called what they were saying. The Beast is what it was called. That
the Beast
Nemesis. Yeah, the big dude
Nemesis
I was trying to think of is
Nemesis.
The movie's not called Nemesis. I thought they were trying to say the new Resident Evil was called Nemesis. I'm like, no, it's not.
Gotcha.
Like, it's just called Resident Evil, right? The 2022 one?
Yeah, that's the one that I was looking at was just.
Yeah, so if anybody out there hasn't seen that, you should definitely watch it. It's a small budget, but it did hit limited theaters, and it is fucking cool. So, all right, DJ, thanks for checking in with your phone.
Yep, I appreciate it. Are you going to stay on and talk to people?
Everybody. No,
or are we getting out of here? Okay, all right, we're getting out of here. Toxie Love, come back on Twitch next week, 7 p.m. Eastern, whatever time that is, and tell all your Twitch friends to watch us on Twitch. But thanks, guys. Thanks, chat. We really hope you like this. And
go to the Screaming Room and subscribe, like, share. Share is the biggest one with this podcast.
Yes,
we really need people sharing because, it's the only way it's going to grow.
Yeah.
Because there really isn't an algorithm thing with podcasts. It's more of like word of mouth is what gets podcasts to grow. So,
yeah. So please subscribe to the Screaming Room and share us around. And we will see y'all next week.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.